Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name is Kent, and I'm making another Nebraska Cornhusker YouTube video. And the reason I make these videos is because I enjoy watching Nebraska football. I enjoy talking about Nebraska football. The channel is actually about cryptocurrencies. One cryptocurrency, especially called EOS, and I don't even want to go into cryptocurrencies or EOS or Bitcoin on these Nebraska football videos because I'd lose everybody really quickly. But anyway, I enjoy watching them. I'll never ask you to subscribe. I'm probably the only YouTuber that will say, I don't care if you subscribe or not. I'm just doing these for my own entertainment, my own fun. I really enjoy it when people react to the video. The other night I'd made a video about seeing Tommy Frazier in the 1997 season when I was walking around Memorial Stadium during the Akron game, and that he was a long, lean-looking athlete. Someone wrote me back and said, he isn't anymore. He's got the dad body. So that's the kind of stuff I enjoy. That made the video worth it to me, more than any monetization or any money I could have made from the video. I just enjoyed reacting with people on these videos. And I do monetize the videos. The only reason I monetize the videos is because YouTube won't even show it if you don't monetize it. So, but I don't do it for us. I'm on your way. Sorry about that.
How you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
Great.
Yeah, I don't generally like to monetize videos, especially videos I'm doing for entertainment, but YouTube doesn't like to even show them if you don't monetize them. So I apologize for the ads that you see. They're not, I wouldn't do it if it was just me. The only reason I do it is because I want to get in the algorithm and I want people to watch the video. So that's it. So anyway, I want to talk about Matt Rhule. And the big question right now is, will Matt Rhule succeed at Nebraska? Will he win at Nebraska? And I think there's a lot of people trying to answer that question. I mean, they've got an enormous amount of money at risk, at stake on Matt Rhule. The reputation of the football program can't take too much more damage after the Scott Frost, Mike O'Reilly tenure. So yeah, they're pretty desperate down there to get something going, and they're putting everything on Matt Rhule. Now the question is, will Matt Rhule come through and be a successful football coach at the University of Nebraska? And I got to be honest with you, when I first heard his name mentioned, I was thinking Mike Riley 2.0, same deal as Mike Riley. A guy that's coached football but never really won anything big. He hadn't won a national championship, didn't win a Super Bowl, hasn't won any kind of substantial championships. And I was thinking, man, they're just going down the same road as Mike Riley, just getting a guy that had moderate success in college, and we're just doing the same thing all over again. So that was my first reaction to Matt Rhule. And of course, I didn't know who Matt Rhule was. I mean, I don't follow the Carolina Panthers. I don't follow NFL football, and I had no idea. I don't follow Temple football, and I sure as heck don't follow Baylor football, so I had no idea who these guys were. So when Matt Rhule first came aboard, I thought they're really making a huge mistake by bringing this guy in. He just seems like really a guy that's been around that really hasn't had much success. So the question, well, he's had success, but at schools that don't really play the toughest competition in the world. Not saying Temple and Baylor are bad, but they're not the SEC. They're not playing down there. So, my first question when I heard about Matt Rhule, everybody's, what's his past? Where's he from? What's he done? And of course, when you hear Temple and Baylor, you're not that impressed. But when you really look at the circumstances of what those two programs were in when he took them over, you get a little better feel for what he did. I mean, Baylor was in substantial trouble. I believe they had a lot of rule violations, and Temple, I think, they were doing very poorly too when Matt Rhule got involved. So he's turned two programs around, and of course he was in the NFL, which is a nice thing. It's a nice segue because every player that plays Division I college football, especially at the level, the Power 5 level, they want to go on. They want to at least think they have a chance in the pros. So the fact that he's got some pro experience is certainly a positive for anybody that wants to play for the University of Nebraska. But the thing I've noticed most about Matt Rhule is he seems to be someone that's wanting to build relationships, not only with his players, but with the entire state of Nebraska. He's going around to the high schools, I hear. He's talked to high school coaches. He's got clinics for the high school coaches. He's really pushing, the whole making Nebraska unite again by football. In fact, the reason I'm so interested, or some of the reasons I like Nebraska football so well, is because when I was a kid, I knew nothing about football. I knew nothing about Nebraska football. I knew nothing about college. I mean, I was just a kid, 9, 10, 11 years old. And all I knew was every Saturday, everybody would get all excited about Nebraska football games. And it was so bad. I mean, I grew up in Nebraska. Most of the time we spent in Scotts Bluff. If we were going to town to buy groceries or go to the parts dealer or implement dealer or whatever we were doing. My parents were farmers. But most of the time, you'd walk into these stores, even if it was, a tractor supply store or something like that, and they would have the game on. And they would certainly have the game on if you went to smaller businesses. But every place you went, you heard the game. So you were kind of forced to be a fan because you didn't hear anything else. And of course, as I got older, I started realizing that Nebraska was a pretty good football team. They had a pretty good, coaches. They had kind of a theme about them. They were a dominant football team. They ran the football. They also had respect. They seemed to have Coach Osborne and Coach Devaney. They seemed to be respectable men. They were men that were trying to make the lives better of the kids that they were coaching. So, you got to love that stuff. You got to love that stuff. And as I was growing up, I got more appreciation for that kind of, for what they were doing down there. So, and I became a fan too. So, and of course, it was easy for me to become a fan because I was a fan during the time when they were really, really good. During the early 90s and, of course, the late 80s. That's when I started getting involved. And that's what got me interested in it. But back to the question of if Matt Rhule will succeed at Nebraska. I think you'll have to look at a couple things. You'll have to look at how hard he's willing to work at making these relationships, not only with team, players, recruits, people in the state of Nebraska, but how much he's willing to get the players. Everybody says this, but it's true. You got to get the players to buy in. You got to get the players to believe in everything you're doing. So if you're running a drill and you think it's a dumb drill and you really don't want to do it, and you think it doesn't really make you better, it's not going to help you out in game day, and you put a half effort into it, you're not buying in. But if you're doing a drill, and even if you don't see the bigger picture of what this drill is how it's going to affect or how it's going to help me in the game, and you do it anyway, and you do it fast, and you do it hard, and you do it like it's something that you're either going to do or die. That's what he needs. That's what he needs. He needs that kind of player support. He needs that kind of player buy-in. He needs the kind of people that are just going to say, hey, whatever Matt Rhule says, whatever Coach Rhule says, we're going to do it. And we're going to do it to the best of our ability as hard as we can. And we're going to buy in 100%. And in turn, he's going to be the kind of coach that players are going to respect because he gives everybody an equal opportunity and because he builds a relationship with you beyond football. So, I noticed that a young guy today, the receiver coach, kind of different because Mickey Joseph was probably going to be the receiver coach. Instead, they had this young man. I don't even remember his name, but I think he's like 24 years old. And he was talking. I heard his press conference today. I don't know if it was done today or another day, but he was talking about one of his players, and he was talking about his player. I believe it was Washington, but he was talking about this player, and he was talking about his player had a son. Had a young son, and he said, you got to find out the players why. Why do they want to do this? Why? What's driving them? What makes them try? What makes them go? What makes them want to be here? What makes them want to, go get better and better and better and try to make a career out of this, make a living out of this? And he was talking about this player who had a young son. And he was talking about that. He knew the player's son's name, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take coaches that are so interested in these players that they know their family, they know their parents, they know if they have children or not, they know everything about them, they know what drives them, what motivates them, what they're doing, why they're there, why they're there to try to make a difference in their lives, why they're trying to do this. It's going to take that kind of detail, that kind of work to make Matt Rhule a successful coach in Nebraska. And I'm telling you, that's probably going to be a lot of energy. So I remember listening to Tom Osborne one time, long time ago, many years ago, and he was talking about that I think his daughter was getting ready to have a wedding, I mean, I don't know if I got my facts right on this or not, but anyway, they were really upset with him because he was wanting to postpone the wedding for some reason because they had some sort of football game or some sort of football practice or something going on. Maybe it was not the wedding, it was maybe just a rehearsal or something, but it was like, I know he was talked many times about how his wife really didn't appreciate the long hours that he had to put in. She really didn't appreciate all the all the work he had to put in to make that team what it was. But he did it, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a man that's willing to deprive himself of a lot of things that his family probably wants him to do. Make birthday parties, Christmas parties, do all this other stuff. And stick to spreading himself out thin enough to not only do what he needs to do for his own family, but do what he needs to do for about 150 men that are on his football team. And make sure each and every person feels wanted, feels like they have something, he has invested enough in him that they feel like he cares, and that's what he's going to have to do. And that's going to separate him from winning and losing. If he can do that, if he can make himself the kind of guy, the kind of coach that's willing to spread himself so thin and give himself to so many people, so many football players, so many families, that he does this, I think he's going to be successful. And I think that he's probably the kind of person that can do that. I don't know that a Scott Frost could have done that at this level. Maybe Scott Frost could have done it at a college didn't have that much demand on him, like UCF. But here at Nebraska, you're going to have some serious time put in, major time put in order to make this thing successful. So I think that's going to be the balancing point of whether Matt Rhule makes it or not. How much he's willing to put in, invest in his players, and how much he's willing to be involved with their lives, involved with everything else besides football. And then, of course, football as well. So it's going to be a huge effort. And I mean, that's why he's being paid $9 million a year, $9 million plus, $9.25 million a year, because he's going to have to really work at this thing. It's going to be a tremendous effort. And I think, my opinion, is that everybody's saying 6 wins is going to be the magic number for Matt Rhule, because hopefully that makes him bowl eligible. I have a feeling, my personal feeling, he's going to have to do better than 6 wins. I think he's going to have to do 8 wins in order to be successful this first year. He does 6 wins. I still think he's just got the toe in the water. He's going to have to do better than 6 wins. Bo Pelini made 9 wins every year he was at Nebraska. I think he's going to have at least 8, 7 to 8 wins. I think 6 is not the number. He's going to have to do better than just 6 wins. And I look at the schedule, and those first few games are going to be critical, especially the one at Colorado. So he's going to have to win those games, and he's going to have to get the momentum going, and he's going to have to do it the first season because people are impatient. It's been a long time since Nebraska's been to a bowl game. It's been a long time since Nebraska's had anything to play for. It's been a long time since they had a winning season. So he's going to have to put some serious time in this year to get this thing rolling. Serious time. And it seems like he's doing it. It seems to me like he is putting the time in, and he's trying to make the effort. If he can carry through and make it happen, that's going to determine whether he makes it or not. The other thing too is his team. I think he's got the right team to make more than 6 wins, hopefully 7 wins, preferably 8 wins, because he's got 2 veteran quarterbacks. He's got Jeff Sims and he's got Casey Thompson. So those guys, they've been around the block a few times. Casey Thompson was at Texas, Jeff Sims at Georgia Tech. These guys know football. They've both been starters at a Power 5 school, and they're both great athletes. They both have skill, and of course they have tremendous running backs. I mean, Anthony Grant's a tough running back, and you got these other ones, Gabe Urban, all these guys. They're good. They're good running backs. So he's got the skilled positions. I think he's got pretty decent receivers. They're talking about the receivers. I think the receivers are good. So the only thing everybody kind of is critical of is the defensive line mainly, and the offensive line. So he's got to get those big guys in there. He's going to have to get some big guys, and he's going to have to get them. And I think he's doing the right thing. The right thing is not to criticize the past, but to build on it. He kept the same offensive line coach, Rhule, and I think that was a smart move. Everybody thought Rhule would go for sure because the line was supposedly really bad, and it was. I mean, let's not joke. I mean, the line was bad. I mean, I watched the other YouTubers that talk about this, and they would show the video, and yeah, you can't hide it. I mean, I don't know if it was they were put in bad schemes, or if it was just bad execution, or what, players' fault or not players' fault, I don't know, but it was not a good offensive line. And so I know Matt Rhule said that wasn't the problem. I think he's taking the approach that, hey, these guys have been beat up enough. We need them. We're not gonna win without them. We got to get them so they start thinking positively. And the only way to do that is to tell them, hey, look, you guys are good. It's just that we just need to work a little bit better or a little bit harder, and put ourselves in better positions, and fix a few minor things, and we're going to be very good. And that's what he's done. And I think that's a good move. As far as having the right people there, I don't know. I mean, they're a little bit thin on both the offense and defensive line. They get a few people back, but those guys, they can get hurt pretty quickly. And the other thing too, to be a really good defense, really good offense, you got to be able to rotate people out. And if you don't have anybody to rotate in when somebody's out, then that's a problem too. So yeah, I think they're going to be hunting offensive, defensive linemen in the portal, and I think they're going to be doing a few things like that. So they're probably going to need to do that in order to have the kind of team they need to win 7 or 8 games next year. But as far as if Matt Rhule's going to win at Nebraska, I think the jury's still out on that. But I think every day that goes by, I think he's starting to win. He's starting to win over people as far as his work ethic and as far as the approach that he's taking. As I said earlier, he's going to have an incredible work ethic, and he's going to have to really be available for a lot of people, and that's not easy to do. I know myself, I don't even like to take people's phone calls. I get bombarded with phone calls sometimes, and I don't like to even talk to people on the phone when I get tired. So I know a lot of people are like that too. We just let it go to the voicemail or let it go to the text message. I don't want to talk to someone. But a guy like Matt Rhule can't do that. He's going to have to be available for a lot of people. And so he's going to have to make himself very, very available to a lot of people. And not only that, not only is he available to the players, to their families, but he's going to have to be available to the media and be available for people when they want to ask him for an interview. And he's going to always have to have a good attitude. So when people come up to talk to him, he can't say, hey, I'm busy, I can't talk to you, or leave me alone, or I don't have time for you. He's not going to be able to do that. He's going to have to just put on his happy face the whole time and be willing to interact with people in whatever way that he needs to in order for people to be satisfied with his performance. All those things are going to have to add up to be a winning team. And like I say, I don't think he's got a lot of time. I think if he comes out this year without a winning season, anything less than 5 wins, I would say the program is going to be in trouble, because it's like Frost. When Frost came out and he started losing, they thought they could just come in and fix it with a few coaches. They got the new offensive coordinator. They just brought in new people, but as you see, that fell apart really quickly. He didn't have any momentum, and everybody started doubting themselves. And Matt Rhule cannot have a year where everybody's doubting themselves. He's got to have a year where people are doing well, and I think they have the team to do it. I mean, if they come up short this year, people are going to wonder, because you got veteran quarterbacks, you got veteran skill players. You just got to put it forward, and you got to win those close games. I know that's going to be pretty tough if you get a few bad breaks, maybe a fumble at the wrong time, bad penalty, maybe the refs are against you, maybe a referee makes a bad call, but he's just going to have to shoulder that, figure it out, and get back in the game and figure out how to win them, because he doesn't have time not to win. He's going to have to win. This is about winning, and if he knows anything, that's what he's going to have to know for a fact. He's going to have to win, and he's going to have to win right now. I appreciate you watching.